get your ass beat for that.
Story 8, here we go, the post I've been waiting for. I sucked my best friend's dad's dick.
That's your opener, bro. That's your opener, really. People who have had sex with your friend's parent. How did you get in that situation? Again with these wild thumbnails, bro. I swear to God, the thumbnails get crazier and crazier each video. All right, here we go. Parents of Reddit, serious. People who've had sex with their significant other, ex, or friend's parent. How the hell did you get to that point? What happened after? Oh boy.
Story 1. I was at a friend's birthday party. My friend was in her mid-20s, I was 30, and her mom was in her early 50s. She and her mom took really good care of me after my father passed. They made sure I was eating and that I actually left the apartment every day, as I was prone to just sitting around being a depressed sad sack. My friend's mom and I used to get stoned together, so when we were at her daughter's birthday party at her mom's house, she called me to her room so she could smoke a joint. She didn't want to do it in front of everyone, and it definitely wasn't the first time we'd gotten a little high together, so it was somewhat familiar territory. Maybe it was the weed or the wine or both, but as we were smoking and chatting, I just leaned in and kissed her. To my surprise, she kissed me back. And we proceeded to make out like a couple of teenagers on the love seat in her bedroom. She stopped for a moment, looked at me, and said, "Well, had I known you were interested, we could have done this a long time ago." We made it out a little more, and I told her that we should stop because we were going to get caught. So we kissed and groped one another a little more and
Yo, this man pulled up to a birthday party and got a different type of cake.
returned to the party. The next day, she stopped by my apartment to see how I was doing, which wasn't uncommon. That day was slightly different. She was always a very good-looking woman, but that day she had a more carefully applied makeup and some nicer-looking earrings and a blouse that showed off more cleavage than usual. I invited her in and we were off to the races. We both had a good time, but I thought of my friend and said that we probably shouldn't do this again. She didn't really respond to it and we continued to cuddle for a while. The next day she called me and said that she thought she may have lost her earring on my bed or couch, which I thought was bullshit, but it turned out that the earring was indeed between the cushions of my couch.
Nah, I thought Shawty was trying to make an excuse to come back.
She came over to retrieve it and we went at it again and again and again. This went on for months until I was finally moving out of state. It never happened again, we never spoke of it, and my friend never found out. Sadly, my friend's mom passed 5 years ago. I thought about telling her, but it just seemed like a bad idea. Rest in peace, Julie. You were smoking hot and just an all-around great woman.
This man said, "Rest in peace, Julie." I'm sorry, bro. No offense. That just caught me off guard, bro. Also, earlier, he said his dad had passed away, and the girl and her mom used to take care of him, and that's how he got close with them. Bro, ain't no way this man got the dead parent riz, bro.
Story 2. When I was 20, I got accepted to a university in Canada. I'm a French guy, and my mom put together a barbecue to celebrate it with my best friends, among which was my actual best friend, a girl my age who lived far, so she would stay the night. My mom and dad were actually already getting divorced and sleeping in separate rooms back then, so there was no doubt that they will ever get back to normalcy in terms of their relationship. After most people left and I was drinking my way around talking about Canada with another friend, my now former best friend and my dad made sure my mom went to bed and carried on drinking together. All I remember is trying to figure out where the hell my friend was in the morning as the guest room was empty. It took so much fighting denial to realize that he had to be sleeping with my dad all night. Mom was
Nah, your girl best friend sleeping with your daddy?
destroyed, and so was I. They both denied it, and they said they just talked. I still cannot believe this happened, but in retrospect, my dad has always been such a crap dad to his kids and wife, and that friend has not been nice to me either.
Yeah, talked my ass, bruh. You can't even talk with a dick in your mouth. They was definitely going crazy in that room, bro. They was definitely not talking.
Story 3. I had sex with a good friend's mom. Looking back, it's really messed up, and she had been working on me for months. I was 18. I'm ashamed of it. Fortunately, the friend never found out. But as an adult, I now look back and realize that I was over my head and she should have known better. Let me just tell you a little bit more so you don't worry about me. Was I groomed? Maybe looking back I was, but I was certainly no virgin. The reason I feel ashamed of it is that it was my friend's mom. I could have had her anytime and she offered pretty often, so one night I decided to take her up on it.
Bro said he could have had her anytime.
This doesn't affect me today and probably never did in any deep way, except feeling like crap because it was a betrayal of my friend. But as an adult, I find her decisions disgusting. And as an adult, I realized that my 18-year-old self didn't know anything about life and rarely thought of anything beyond getting laid. I'm not hard on myself about it these days, but I was for several years. Story 4. A friend at school.
That one, I mean, I could never get at my friend's mom, bro. She gotta be hot, bro. Like, reading these stories, bro, like, I'm thinking, like, bro, if I ever had to hook up one of my friends, bro, like, she gotta be a 10 out of 10, bro. Like, oh my goodness.
Story 4. A friend at school's mom was pretty hot. She was relatively young compared to most of our moms, and his dad was quite a bit older and absolutely minted. When we were young teenagers, it was a bit of a running joke to give him shit about his hot mom and how his dad was her sugar daddy.
Yo. I wouldn't be surprised if that kid brought an AK to school the next day.
Fast forward to the end of the 6th form, end of high school for US readers, when we were all 18 and he was having a party at this massive house to celebrate. Most people were outside getting drunk in the garden, but I'd had a few bad months of family stuff, so I wasn't really feeling it. I decided to go and chill inside for a bit, and in the kitchen I found his mom just drinking wine and looking forlornly out the window. I asked if she was okay, and she pretty much unloaded her issues.
Yeah, hey. Oh, yes, my husband has erectile dysfunction. He can't even get hard anymore. Could you please help me out? Yes.
She was miserable. She hated his dad. She settled down without having a life first, felt trapped because she couldn't afford to leave, loved her kids, etc. I opened up about my issues too with my family, and it actually felt good to talk to a relative stranger about it. I now realize that I should have been seeking a therapist. Anyway, one thing led to another, and she started making out with me. I didn't stop her. Then she led me upstairs, and the rest is history. On one hand, it was pretty awesome. She was smoking hot, I was pretty inexperienced, and she really knew how to communicate in the bedroom.
Nah, bro said communicate in the bedroom.
On the other hand, I knew I was betraying my friend and f***ing up his parents' marriage. Plus, I could hear all my friends laughing and partying outside. A few months later, they got divorced, and I understand she got a bit shafted in the deal because she cheated on him.
Imagine, like, you just chilling at your party, bruh. At your party, just chilling with your friends, having fun. You thinking everything's cool, but in the meantime, your friend upstairs banging your mom. I
don't know if that was me or if she did it with someone else, too. I am pretty ashamed about it because I also realized she was using me, too. I was never under any illusion that we had some special
So she lied about the erectile dysfunction her husband could really get hard?
Connection or anything, but I can see that she just wanted to f*** somebody out of their catharsis and frustration, and maybe, subconsciously, to force the problems in the marriage into the daylight so she could finally get out. Story 5. I slept with my friend's mother at a music fest and was very high on acid. We were hanging out, me, my two friends who were dating, we'll call them David and Claire, and Claire's mother. Claire doesn't feel too hot, and David takes her back to the campsite, and I and her mother were just leaving it for the festival.
This man came as a third wheel. Not expecting this.
We get some drinks, do some dancing, one thing leads to another, and yeah. Afterwards, we just sort of chilled in my tent for a few hours before hitting the party tent and having a wee cuddle.
Yeah, this ain't no third wheel no more. This is a double date.
Claire actually walked in on us after we had finished, and I was high, so I didn't even really know what was happening. I just knew that I had done something very wrong. So the festival ends and we all go home, and of course the sensible thing to do would have been to try and patch things up with Claire and never talk to her mother again. You will find, however, that I am not a sensible man, and proceeded to not only see her again, but date her on and off for 4 years. I have so many stories about those 4 years. Back to the stories. Story 6. My first serious girlfriend's mom used to text me every day after I and her daughter broke up.
Your girl's mom after you broke up?
Just friendly stuff at first, talking about music and other mutual interests as I used her to keep tabs on what my ex was doing because I was a dumb 16-year-old.
16? How the fuck is 16-year-old in? I don't know how old the mom is.
Eventually, it led to her telling me how much I reminded her of her high school boyfriend that killed himself, and she...
Bro, it was so out of pocket. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I'm not laughing, bro. R.I.P. to that man. Suicide is not a... Bro, that just caught me so off guard.
She went on to tell me that she lost her virginity to him and how much she loved him. Then things took a turn. She started sending very sexual texts, which turned into nudes and phone sex. And planned to hook up. Eventually, I ended up walking away from it all before anything really happened. I didn't think too much of it back then, but looking back on it now, I was a 16-year-old heartbroken boy, and she was a 40-year-old married woman.
How does a 16-year-old and a 40-year-old woman, bruh, have mutual interests? I mean, it could happen, but that's... What? That's two completely different eras.
So that's pretty f***ed up to think about now. Basically groomed and taken advantage of by someone I thought was my friend.
Yeah, that's not,
Story 7. I got super drunk at my friend's mother's house. We all did, really. But mainly me and the mom. But I'd come as my friend was going through a bit of a tough time, and it was supposed to be a nice surprise.
Damn.
My friend was going to her mom's for a nice night of merriment, and her mom told me that I should come to cheer her up.
Cheer her up.
Which I agreed was a good idea. Everything started out fine, but as she and I got drunker, we started kind of flirting. Something that had actually happened before when we were both drunk. Then when it was time for everyone to go to bed, I snuck into her mom's room. My friend totally knew, a fact that I wasn't aware of until a little while after, but her mom had to drive me to the train station to go home the next day. What happened after is I, like a complete coward, never apologized, even after I found out my friend knew, and I lost that friend. They deleted
bruh. Your friend
me from social media and didn't speak to me for almost 2 years.
She blocked you?
We did recently reconcile, and I sent a long text a couple of months back apologizing and letting my friends know how much I missed them.
At least he apologized.
They then recently reached out because they found out I'm expecting my first baby. I'm very happy to be back in contact with this friend.
Woohoo.
Tip for everyone: don't sleep with your friend's parents. It's a dick move. But should that ever happen and you want to keep this friend as a friend, own up, apologize, and then give them space.
Damn, I don't know what I would do, bro. Like, I couldn't even tell bro, if I did this to my friend, I would never tell him, bro. Like, I would just not have the balls, bro. I know some people do that.
The truth is always better than a lie, and your honesty and apology will be appreciated.
Not with everybody, bro. Not where I live. Not with everybody. If you mess with somebody, mama, where I live, bro, that's a ass beating. You can get your ass beat for that.
Story 8. Here we go. The post I've been waiting for. I sucked my best friend's dad's dick.
That's your opener, bro. That's your opener, really. We're not even 2 seconds into the story.
I and my friend Betty had been preparing to go away on holiday to work.
She's definitely blonde.
We were at her dad's house while we had been packing/preparing. Betty and her stepmom needed some kind of suntan lotion, not too sure, and other bits, so stated that they would go to the shops while I stayed back to finish off and hang out.
Yeah. Finish off. I wonder who else is going to be finishing.
I and Betty's dad were just chatting and joking, all aware that I'm gayish.
What? Wait. This is from a man's perspective?
Playing on his pool table and sharing a beer. He started giving me a jokey chat about looking after Betty as she hadn't been away by herself. We were maybe 17 at the time. Betty's dad was semi-famous for 2 things. Supposedly how he would go down on big birds for hours, that's Brit slang for larger ladies, and his massive dick. But
what the hell?
Betty's dad and I sat down on his conservatory. I sat on the sofa and he sat across from me. He had been wearing these short shorts and at the angle I was, I could see his dick popping out. I evidently had made it obvious and he started jokingly telling me to stop staring. I tried to laugh it off, feeling embarrassed when really my mouth was starting to water.
What the? This is so zesty, bruh.
I started asking how big it actually is and if it was hard, etc. He was laughing and saying no, it was very jokey laddie at this point. He then started teasing me if I wanted to see it, and after a back and forth, he pulled his shorts down really quickly and then back up. After that, I was enthralled. It still remains the biggest dick I've ever seen in real life, and I've had anal with a 10-inch dick.
This is definitely a man.
His was bigger. The next part is fairly embarrassing and awkward, but effectively I kept asking if I could see it again as I was shocked. Then I asked if I could touch it, which he said everyone always does.
Touch it? What the fuck is this, a museum?
Then it got somewhat intimate as my lips were around his head. The rest of that would be a trade secret. The worst part came about 18 months later when we all met up for lunch. He kept teasing me about stuff in front of Betty and her boyfriend, her mom, his then wife, and other families about being camp and my weight, etc. I remember feeling like I could be a total c**t and out the secret, but I love the rest of my family too much. He was fairly masculine and played on being a man's man. That wasn't ever the case, but at the lunch, he had gotten a new ear piercing and the older family had been teasing him about being soft. Towards the end of lunch, I got a bit confident and responded to one of his jibes by making a comment about his earring making him look like George Michael, and would prefer it if my mouth was full.
Okay.
Safe to say he was very quiet. Besides me and him, you guys, and some people I've told as I got older and moved away, nobody knows. So a fair few people know.
That was the weirdest, longest story in this entire video. What the hell? I ain't even gonna touch that one with a 10-foot stick.
Story 9. My mom had a friend and I was friends with her son. I had turned 16 in November and went to their house.
So my mom had a friend and I was friends with her.
For a party over Christmas. I got drunk and passed out on the couch in the living room.
Bro, 16 getting drunk?
I woke up to the house empty apart from my friend's mom sucking my dick.
Alright, bro, what I feel like the more the video progresses, I feel like the longer we watch the video, the more progressively worse it gets. Like, and not worse, like, because nothing's topping that last story we just heard. Like, absolutely nothing is topping that. But, no pun intended, but, these just get, like, more random.
That turned into a relationship for about 18 months. One afternoon, my mom is telling me how I am and how none of my friends can ever be trusted, so I asked her if she could trust all of her friends. When she says yeah, I asked, even Margaret? And then the truth came out. Most of the truths, anyway.
This man told his mom, why would you tell your mom you banging her friend, bro?
Never spoke to my friends again, but I did have to fight some drug dealer friends of his. Apparently, Margaret came around to my mom's house the day after and got a mouthful of abuse. Damn. I don't know what was said, but I'll guarantee that it was more about the breach of trust between her and my mom and less about the sexual assault. My mom has never really forgiven me for it. By the way, I'm in the UK, and the age of consent over here is 16. Dude, a sleeping passed out person cannot consent. Story 10.
What the hell? I mean, Shawty's name was Margaret. The top had to be devious. And ain't no way this man snitched to his mom. You gotta be gay or something.
My coworker that I slept with set me up with her mom. This is kind of an awkward one. I helped a coworker move. After all was said and done, we had a drink and got to talking. She ended up blowing me and we hooked up to a couple of times after. We ended up just stopping and had almost no contact for about a year or so after. I made a satirical post on Facebook about the dating pool being, quote, a pond of acid full of robot piranhas with lava for a piss.
What the fuck does that even mean?
And she messaged me saying her mom was looking for a guy. I figured, okay, f it, why not? I like cougars. I started talking to her mom and we sort of hit it off. And she asked me to come over.
This girl literally let this man get with her mom.
I had no idea my former coworker lived with her, so awkward. What? After a couple of hours of hanging out, her mom invites me into the bedroom. Still awkward. Next thing I know, I'm her mom while she's out in the other room watching TV. It never stops being awkward.
She watching TV like everything's all fine and dandy.
There's even one time when the coworker knocked on the door and said something to the extent of, I want to turn with him when you're done. Her mom said something like, fuck you and find your own to suck. Did I mention this was really awkward? That was sort of the defining moments where I knew I needed to just nope on out of there. I forgot to add the aftermath.
No. The coworker was a baddie too. Oh shit, I would have invited her in. What's the issue with that? We could have a three-way.
Ended up getting a serious girlfriend, so it broke off.
Oh,
When
yeah.
we broke up, my coworker and mom both tried to get into my pants shortly after.
Oh.
I didn't want to get into that mess again, so I
No
ended up
way,
just
bro.
ghosting them. I checked in on them both a couple of years later. Coworker got married, and mom moved out of state.
Oh.
But they're both doing well, last I knew. No way these people actually exist in real life, right?
Hey, I mean, at least we got a happy ending.
Story 11. In high school, there was a popular cheerleader's mom who legitimately went out of her way to f a lot of kids in high school. Not sure if I should really answer here because the cheerleader and I weren't necessarily best friends, but
Yeah, usually like it's usually the school thought getting passed around, not somebody's mom. Like, damn, she probably getting with the football team, the soccer.
we
team.
were definitely cool and talked every now and then, as I was a football player.
Oh,
The mom went
shit.
around and messaged me and a few of my
Told you.
friends, cutting straight to the chase that she wanted to have I remember
How
being
old are these
excited at the
kids? They're in
time
high
just because in high school you had to put in so much effort to have I felt like, and this grown woman was just throwing it at me. She also scared me a bit because she was offering to eat my ass, and at the ages of
What?
15 or 16, I had no desire in doing that at all. Anyways, one day I found a ride to her house and we did the deed. Amazing sex, and the same was
Damn.
echoed with a few of my friends. The unfortunate part was that this woman is married with 2 other kids and all of this got out. I couldn't
Oh.
imagine the embarrassment for the cheerleader. I never talked to her personally about it, mainly because I was one of the kids that did it. Also felt bad for her husband. He continued trying to save the marriage. Poor guy. I still have a message on my Facebook telling me that if this person ever messages me to just ignore it and that he was trying to save his marriage for his kids. I didn't get my ass eaten, not my
Yeah,
thing,
yo.
even to this day. I'm 25 now.
25.
Jesus, saying that makes me realize this was 10 years ago.
Damn.
This woman did get caught eventually, and I'm pretty sure she did some time. Some kids bribed her by
jail?
using her credit card or else they'll tell the feds. This went on for a while until I
sugar
believe she
mama?
called their bluff after a while. She was wrong.
That's crazy.
I know everyone is saying you got r***ed, blah blah, and yes, legally this is statutory. But if I'm gonna be honest, at this age I was already having sex and I was 100%
Wild.
down for this. Again, creepy from this woman's perspective, but I wanted this. Story 12.
Yo, that one was wild, bro. It's definitely not worse than the one with the 10-inch dick. Nah.
With my ex-girlfriend's mom in high school. I was 18, so I was technically legal. She recently became a single mom just a year or two
Oh.
prior, and you could tell that she was really trying to
Yeah.
get out there
I know
more.
where this is going.
Very good looking, not even just for her age. Worked in real estate, but I don't think she liked to mix things up with the work/clients, which I think was hard because she was a very successful person in the area. Anyways, her daughter and I dated for over a year until we broke up. I went over to retrieve some of my stuff. My ex-girlfriend wasn't there because
Her
she
mom
couldn't
was
stand to
there,
see
yeah.
me. So it was just her mom and me. She was overly friendly but not acting out of the norm until I was leaving, and she said, "If there's anything you ever need at all, please call me."
You know what
I thought that
means?
was weird, but we exchanged numbers and I left. A week or two later, she began texting me. Eventually, she invited me over to watch some movies. Again, I thought this
movie,
was
huh?
weird and was some kind of ruse to get me to reunite their relationship with her daughter. But then she said that her daughter was staying at her sister's and she was so bored she might finish this wine bottle all by herself. A few
Yeah, I know where this is going. Yeah.
drinks actually sounded good, and getting
Yeah.
booze at that age was hard, so I
Yeah.
agreed. I'll spare you the details, but it didn't exactly take long for it to happen once I got
Nope.
there. It was a great time, but I wasn't exactly proud of it because I was going through a lot at the time, as was she. I kept it to myself and never told anyone. We met up another time, but we had to be quick to avoid her daughter who was set to get off work soon, and after that,
I wonder what the daughter would do if she found out. Yo, that.
I realized I didn't want to do it anymore. And a few weeks later, I shipped out for the military and left my entire old life behind anyways. We haven't spoken to or seen each other since now 10 years later.
10 years.
Story 13. Obvious
I'm realizing these are like all taking place like years ago, bro.
throwaway, and I'm pretty sure this will get buried, but anyway, I met this guy at the beginning of college, dated all through college.
It's from a girl's perspective.
Anyways, my boyfriend at the time, the son, became super controlling, manipulative, and borderline abusive, which all came to a halt when his parents' year-long divorce was finalized. Dumped the boyfriend,
Most of these are like, they start off with like divorce.
Moved out of state, and the dad still lived close by. Stayed in contact with the dad and many people from his family. Eventually, the dad asked me how my dating life was, and I took it as an opportunity to complain about how I was having a hard time finding people who I had sexual chemistry with. Turned into a conversation about kinks, and eventually, over a few months, the tension just kept building. To be blunt, we were both horny and lonely.
Yeah, I don't think the tension was the only thing building up.
And knew the other person was into the same things, so we started a friends with benefits type relationship.
Oh, friends with benefits is crazy.
Helped that the dad was young and aged wonderfully. Eventually it ended on good terms and we both met other people. We both pushed the other to date other people. Find something long-term and more fulfilling than cheap From what I know, no one knows. I've never told and he didn't either. We were just lonely, needed some and weren't just about to have casual with randoms. Might as well be someone you know that will be happy for you once you find the right relationship.
Hey, well, at least there was a happy ending with that one. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for the video. If you made it to the end, I hope you enjoyed. I really appreciate it. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Goodbye.
My heart wants you back, but that shit is too damn demanding. Smoke the pen away, rapping on these beats, hard as 808s. Feeling like I'm Kanye, deal with heartbreaks, that's an 808s. Knocking on my door, what's the time? It's like 808. Now she on my bed, eat me out, yeah, she 808.